What up, gang? Welcome to the Footy Pod. I'm your host, Rett, and today we have a special guest today, a local legend, a routine guest at this point,
Yeah.
Mr. AG. Mr. AG, how are we doing today?
Doing well, Rhett. Self-proclaimed legend. Glad to be back. Past your bedtime. Excited to talk.
That's right, legend, Rosie's dad. Some say there's so
Yeah.
many different things we could say.
Self-described legend. Self-proclaimed.
Well, today, AG, there's just so much, obviously, so much going on with the World Cup and USA game, plenty of missed penalties within the last hour. I mean, it's all coming, if you're a media journalist right now, you're just thinking, what can I write about? What can I just stir the pot on? You
There you
know,
go. What content to tackle first? So much.
exactly. But I think it only makes sense that we talk about the USA stuff first, I think, since we are proud Americans, we might as well just go ahead and dive into. So let's break down the timeline for anyone that's not kind of familiar with what was going on, right? So what happened was in the last game the US played before Belgium, one of the players got a red card in the game, and within per FIFA's um, normal table of contents and their laws, it says that you can't, if you get a red card, you can't basically go against it. You can't appeal it. Like U.S. soccer cannot appeal it. You normally in a soccer league you can appeal a card, and you can appeal it. And they weren't allowed to. It was like a rule. It's a crazy rule, honestly. It makes no sense at all, but that was in the rule. So everyone thought, okay, he's going to be out for the Belgium game. Well, we get news, right? The day, I think it was like what, 48 hours before that they had initiated Article 27
Of course,
to
Article 27.
which no one had looked into yet. I mean, it's crazy how no one had seen Article 27. So, AG, I want you to talk about Article 27 because I know you were doing a little bit of diving. Obviously, rough picture, where no one's on the legal counsel over here.
Yeah. Well, who knew, in the FIFA bylaws that there was such a law that you could challenge and overturn the red card. And so FIFA, in keeping with all things being FIFA, where the hands of things can get kind of seedy throughout its history, and going back in the history of soccer, back to 1930, you've got people playing a bigger part in politics and football, whether it's Benito Mussolini or the whoever was the president of Argentina in 1978 to, I mean, these are just things that FIFA lives for. So, yeah, lo and behold, it was overturned and Flo was freed and allowed to play. And despite some constant, even though right along the lines of Ronaldo also being freed up of his red card right before the tournament as well. So, historic precedent was set. This had never happened in a World Cup where a red card was overturned like that. And certainly whatever happened with Ronaldo, I don't think it ever occurred either. So all kinds of things going on, and which led into the game.
Right. And do you see this as well? But hopefully I'm getting this right, that it's not even that they've overturned the red card. Aren't they like delaying it? Isn't it like kind of like a delay of like, oh, we're just like they're like FIFA has the right to delay this sentence, this red card sentencing. I think it's something like that. I could be wrong, but I'm sure someone will correct me. But
Maybe. I mean, to me, the worst part about it was, I mean, not why is there not a press conference with a FIFA representative who sits down and fully explains takes questions on the situation and answers what happened and what all went down, just for full transparency. Just like any significant decision you'd have, you should be able to ask questions and find out about it and understand why the decision was made, not just we've met and we've come to the decision that this is what's going to happen and therefore we whatever we say goes. I mean, not even Zinedine Zidane's red card was overturned, or not even any other player in the history of the World Cup had that kind of situation occur. So it just appeared to kind of a makeshift moment for FIFA to kind of overturn the red card.
Right. And I also think it never helps whenever you've got a sitting president who, like him or not, that doesn't really matter here. But whenever a sitting president says, "Hey, I had some influence on this," so that doesn't help out either because then you have this, well, it's not just, at first you're thinking, oh, this is maybe like a biased, independent panel, or they're just trying to like, really just milk the tournament. They want all the best players to play. And then when we hear about this and it's like, okay, there was obviously a nudge, right? There was a nudge there. And you're thinking, okay, now this is a little wonky. This is just a little off here, and I think everyone exploded after that.
You
They were like,
you
"This is
know, when you
insane."
have former FIFA presidents coming after the sitting FIFA presidents and throwing shade on social media, you know it's like it's comedy. For like Sepp Blatter, the former FIFA president, to be, hashtagging and going after Johnny Infantino because of a decision and on social media, it just points to how silly it is and how comical the whole situation is. I mean, again, to have, but history has shown that politicians and governments have played a part in soccer very prominently, especially to get things to go their way. I mean, it's just the history of the sport. I mean, you could, like I said, there's numerous examples of that throughout history. So this is just another one you could throw into the mix. And you know, as it turned out, it didn't really matter. Didn't impact the game because, as some people commented, it was like he served a suspension on the field because Flo did make an impact. So who knows what kind of impact this all I had to think, this had to weigh on him a lot personally. I got to think, weighed on the team a lot. All this going on, the pressure of it all, um, could have had an impact on their performance, or it could have just been that the 16th ranked team in the world lost to a team that was better than them, very cleanly, very clearly. I mean that was my takeaway. You have all the other stuff that you could talk about. To me, the U.S. maxed out on where they got to. Um, they were not. They were. Their top defender and captain was a 41-year-old player who's clearly seen his best days. Great player, Tim Ream. Their best player has had nagging injuries throughout his career, and has not performed well this World Cup. Christian Pulisic, and they beat the teams they were supposed to beat leading up to it, but they beat no one of the caliber of Belgium, and credit to them. They were just a better team. I mean, he netted all out, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you're right. I think there is context in the fact that I do think that a lot of this information and a lot of this drama probably did weigh on not only Flo but also the team. I have a lot. I'm a huge fan of Flo just because I watched him whenever he was at the Arsenal Academy, and I truly thought that maybe he would even play for us, and that doesn't matter that it didn't happen, but he's just a fantastic person and a fantastic professional, and he's really, really good overall. But yeah, I probably weighed on a lot of the team too, and you know, I and maybe this is my bias of just loving the U.S. team and wanting so much more out of our nation, our players, and the future. And you look at the World Cup being here, and then Mexico being knocked out, Canada being knocked out, and you're like, could be the we be the host nation that kind of that jumps through the hoops a little bit against on their day. Belgium is a good team. They're a good team on paper, but they look terrible this whole tournament. Really, really not a great team at all. They had one big comeback. Um, and a lot of the rest to me was like, if there's anyone that you want to play right now, it's Belgium. It's Belgium right now. This is going to be our
Yeah,
ticket
great matchup.
into yeah, it was just like, okay, if anyone's, you know, looking like a nice snack right now out of a top team, it's them. So
Sure.
I
Yeah.
think that's where my frustration kind of lies a little bit. Is just the fact that it's just like right there, right? It just feels like you just need to go in and play a honestly a half decent game, and I think you come out. I think you at least push that to overtime. And then maybe you get a penalty win on penalties like some of these other teams and things like that. But I think it was
Well,
from the start. It just wasn't. It wasn't a good start.
well, as bad as the U.S. played, barring a again a comical play by their keeper, it's still a very close game at 2-1 and winnable at that point, right? Once you get to 3-1, once Freeze made that mistake and the third goal was scored, then it became, a lot different task. But one thing I think would be pretty point important to point out is, especially with all these older stars having their moments here in the World Cup, how about the credit to the Belgian coach who sat Kevin De Bruyne, and didn't play him. And you look at, like, the Ronaldo situation where there was clearly pressure. I mean, there has to be a ton of pressure to play him. Coach stuck with him, and you had questionable results the entire time. KDB sitting on the bench. Clearly, the Belgian coach saw that his best chance at winning was playing a younger squad with more life. I mean, and he made that decision. So I mean, they in a knockout tournament, they made the right call. Sure, they didn't play great those first three games, those first early games, but still, when you're in a knockout game, you're starting over from scratch every match, so it doesn't really matter. The carry through really doesn't matter. So I don't know. I look again. I think the U.S. team, a solid team. I just don't. When you look at where our players play on a regular basis compared to where, like, a team like Belgium is playing their football on a regular basis, there's a big difference. There's a gap, and I think we got exposed by it. It was sad to watch my man Chris Richards play probably his worst game in a long time, but he struggled mightily, last
Yeah,
night.
yeah. I think defensively, I don't. I think defensively that was one of the more poor games I've seen in a while. It just felt like we were always a step behind. The we I was the whole time when the games from the game started into the first hydration break, I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like I don't know what our pass completion rate was for that first 25 minutes, but I was like, this is
Mm.
really alarming. This is really bad. Like we're not completing. We can't chain three passes together unless it's our right back to the center back to the other center back. And
Hmm.
that to me was a little. I was like, oh boy, like maybe you're getting a little bit of nerves out, and that's fine. But I was like, oh man, it kept on going and kept on going, and I was very, very worried. And then of course, what happens is we're one step. Not only can we not string the passes together, but we're defensively not very sound. And I mean, that first goal was just not turning on. It's really like a guy slipping through, and he plays a ball in front of two of our, and it's a tap in. When strikers have a
Yeah.
tap in like that, you're kind of like, okay, that means it's not because they got into a right position always. It's like the center back didn't actually track back far enough to understand that like that's the gap right there. So yeah, those 25 minutes. Whenever you saw the first 25, what were you thinking? Your first half, what were you thinking in your head?
I thought, I mean, my health. I thought we were lucky that it was only 1-0 early. I think it felt like Belgium could have scored more times than that. And I thought again, it took an amazing free kick and a deflection, which otherwise I think Courtois had that covered for our goal. And I don't, again, but as bad as we were, minus that the goalkeeping error, it was still a match that if there was a moment, if someone could have made a moment, right? That's what to me. That's what these World Cup matches are all about, right? These players, you make something happens, right? Clearly we have the players that could do that at moments, but no one did. And so that 2-1 easily became 3-1, and then even Big Rom came in and got in the action. They got to do the YMCA dance and have a little fun and poke a little fun at the U.S. So I mean that's kind of where we were. I mean, all credit to the Belgians. They played a great game.
They did.
They've got a lot of good players. When you that maybe it's not their golden generation team, but maybe it's they're still good enough at moments. They certainly, like a guy like Leandro Trossard, has played in some big matches and knows how to do things at the right time. That I just don't think netted out we have anyone near that level,
Yeah.
of caliber player. I mean, it's just like, I mean, he's a good player, but we don't have people that could match him on a regular
Yeah.
basis. I think if you players like that, I mean, that's what the Belgian squad has. I mean, and their
Oh yeah.
keeper, look at that. I mean, that's just it's worth something huge.
Yeah. I think it's cool seeing, and maybe this is just this tournament and the form or whatever, but Trossard feels kind of like their best player, which is kind
He
of
does.
crazy. I feel like 2 years ago when you were, and again, this is what happens, right? He's at Brighton. Everyone's like, oh, like, he's just a good player. But it's like, boom, then he moves on. And then they're like, whoa, this guy's so good. And I mean, he's just so fantastic. Not only him, I've always been a really big fan of Charles de Ketelaere. So the guy that
Hmm.
bagged 2 goals, right? I've
Yeah,
always been a big fan of him because I saw him. He was at Club Bruges originally. I'm pretty sure he was at Club Bruges, and then he moved from there to AC Milan. Big move because he played, played really well. And it's like one of those like, oh, he played well in the Champions League against a couple teams. And gets this big move and just flops at AC Milan. Doesn't really do much for like only a season, and then they sell him off to Atalanta, and now he's ripping and rolling with
yeah.
Gianluca Scamacca over there as well, a little Italian. So
Well, he,
I love stories like that when people just kind of
yeah,
like they think they get their big move and they're like, I'm going to be this big time player. It doesn't work out. They go to a smaller team in Atalanta, but Atalanta won the Europa League with him, and just like they've
yeah.
done very
Great.
very well and fantastic club, fantastically run club. So I'm a big fan of him as well.
Well, he absolutely a lot. Not at the level of when Haaland scored his header in the Brazil game, but I think he destroyed his defender Tim Ream to get the second goal when he put that header in. I mean, it was just like perfect timing, perfect run, and he just completely destroyed the defender, similar to what Haaland did on his goal against your one of your boys,
That's right.
Gabriel. but
So
so credit to him. I thought he was a great. Played a great game. I mean, we had no answer. I mean, you could no answer for that. We had no one up front that could create that kind of trouble for the Belgians. It
yeah.
didn't seem that way. There was just nothing there between those two players, Trossard and him. No.
So okay, now you're the let's call it head of football at US Soccer. How do you look at this tournament on a grade scale
Yeah.
on the
Wow.
performances, and what do we need to do next? What do you think?
Well, certainly the thing that scored highest for the U.S. was Poch's clothing. So that was a big success. His move to to that outfit and his hair. That was amazing. Let's not discount that. I think that was, a big success for the U.S. But on a serious note, right? I think, for the U.S., like this is the same thing after every World Cup, right? It's like, what are we going to do? We're gonna put money into the youth program. We're gonna like, we're gonna make it, it's the same story, right? I mean, it's not like all of a sudden that like we're at this point where we have to do something different. I think we finished where we our talent got is at. Like that we're not a top 10 world team in football. We finished right there. So what do we do better, different? I think the MLS has got to get a little more, a little more renown, better players or keep players here. I don't, um, we've got to do a better job of getting people to commit to being U.S. citizens. That could be play in Germany or play in England. I mean, let's not discount that as a factor that could change mightily the quality of players on the team. But there's also a potential political time bomb, but we won't touch that on this piece here. But I think that's another thing that could help. I think keeping Poch would be great. I don't see him staying. I'd be shocked if they if the CEO of Citadel steps up and finds the money to keep paying him. I think that would be a surprise. I think that that'll happen. So I don't think it's a silver bullet. I just think we're right in the mix of where we deserve to be. We're not. I mean, look at the teams that are struggling: Germany, Italy, the Netherlands. I mean, and think of the amount of resource they put towards it, and they're still struggling. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't think there's a silver bullet there.
I think you're spot on. I don't think we have to
But,
do anything different because our system is our system, right? We've chosen this
yeah,
system. We could have chosen to do a European system, and if it was an easy flip, it'd be an easy flip, but it's not. And like
yep,
our system is how our system is. I think a lot of people also like to, sometimes play this like, oh my gosh, we have so many great athletes in the US and we're missing out. We're
yeah,
missing out on so much talent. When in reality,
yeah,
let's be honest, they're like, what they're talking about is football and basketball players, which
right, yeah,
doesn't translate at all to this sport. The best player in the world or best player of all time is a 5'5", 5'6" little guy
yeah,
from
yeah,
Argentina. So, like, if you think LeBron James would be a great goalkeeper, that's it. He's not playing forward. He can't play forward. It
yeah.
doesn't work. Like that's not how this sport doesn't work like that. So I think what we need to do though is exactly what we've been doing because I think we've done a very good job of convincing players to want to play for the US team and be excited to play for the US team when they're born other places. Serginho Dest, Anthony Robinson, Balogun,
Hmm.
Malik Tillman, all of these people who are playing starters on our team were not born here. And they could have easily played for any of these top nations. They could
Sure.
be, well, maybe they be in the spotlight at least for a call up for a lot
Yeah.
of these nations because they're very very good. So I think we're doing a good job about that. Because I think it's enticing to play for a team like the U.S. We're kind of just like those up and comers, like that got some grit to them. So yeah, I don't think we have to do anything different. I think we just keep
Sure.
on rolling on. We keep on promoting. I loved. I think the best decision we ever made was on the last World Cup, saying it's over. We got a new model, like the new model, right? I think, and it was like, oh, bring in more youth. Let's just go for the youth. That was the greatest decision we could have ever made as a country instead of relying on kind of like older
Yeah.
players that were not really doing the bill. So now we are where we are, and we're a really good team. We're a very very good team,
Yeah.
exciting team. So got to keep going, I think. And one last piece is I think I agree on basically all your points. I also wish Poch would stay. I think that it would be nice for him to stay. I don't think he will though. I just don't think. I think he'll AC Milan. No, AC Milan. Do they already have a
No,
coach?
they signed the
Someone
coach. No,
needs
I think
one.
I think yeah, I don't think there's any big jobs for him. I'm not sure if this helped or hurt him, with getting the big job that he probably would have gotten had he not taken the US job originally. I don't know. But I'd be surprised if he stayed. He doesn't strike me that I think he gave but I don't know. I wouldn't bet on him. Just given the number of coaches that have actually been fired or resigned in the World Cup so far, that have left. But we've also now have Jurgen Klopp, who's going to be running the Germans squad, and maybe Arne Slot taking over in for the Dutch. And they're actually that first game, next international game both countries have is against each other. So wouldn't that be something? That would be,
Wow.
so you could
Wait, that
have
would be crazy.
something, yeah, it might be the most intriguing, non-important game ever,
Yeah.
for a Liverpool fan.
You know, and again, you already talked about Germany before. Netherlands is another very good example of a country that puts out a ridiculous amount of youth players. I mean, they've got I would say the number one youth academy of all time. I think Ajax is number one. They've been doing it for longer, and then Barcelona and some other ones come after.
Yeah.
Um, but like incredible team, league players, and like they're still struggling. They still struggle at
But
tournaments.
the start of the tournament again it kind of points the how irrelevant it is to how if you play well in the early rounds. Like they played outstanding, right, in their first few games, and then they got knocked out. It was that, so like on that day, it wasn't their day. I mean, so once you get to that knockout, and I don't know, and then you have an extra round now too. So I don't know if that may weigh on teams as you advance. Like I thought the game today that I saw a little bit of the Colombia Swiss team. Both teams seemed tired. It just seemed both teams didn't have a lot going for them. But that doesn't mean I don't know if that was just because they were tired or just both were being cagey. But I think you know the knockout those early games. Ronaldo's whole tournament was people got excited because he had 2 goals against Uzbekistan, right? So it's hard to really get enthusiastic about it early those 3 games, knowing that in a knockout round you could lose immediately and
Yeah,
be out.
100%. What's been your favorite besides obviously like the US game is obviously what everyone watched, but besides the US game, was it Brazil Norway? Was it Portugal Spain? What's been kind of one of your favorite watches over the last couple of days?
Well, I mean, the Mexico England game was outstanding for 100 reasons, right? I mean, for one, just the atmosphere of the game, the history of England in the Azteca, the quality of how both teams had, and I really thought the Mexicans had played exceptionally up until that point, even in one knockout game. So I really thought it would be outstanding if they could keep advancing. But on the flip side, the English have Jude Bellingham, who's like kind of like this under the radar, most best player in the world guy who just, showed up and for 2 minutes was, you know, incredible, but he played outstanding the whole match. So that to me was probably the match of the tournament, just for everything, all the location, the whole atmosphere, the players, and And I think their coach Aguirre had a big miss. It's credit to England for holding them off, but I think he kind of ran out of ideas there playing against 10 men. I think I don't know if he ran out of ideas or he made some bad subs. I just think it's just man not to be able to punch one in at home against 10 men. All credit to England. Use all your English historical battle references. Hastings, Agincourt, Dunkirk. They like held the line and they deserved the win. It was great. I mean, it was that
Yeah.
great. And Pickford,
Yeah.
oh, amazing, amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, England did such a fantastic, and I think you just have to, your stars got to show up at some point, right? And they've got to
Right.
shine. And Harry Kane did it the game before.
Yeah,
Bellingham,
100%.
you know he's got the ability. We've all seen it before, but it needs to just
You
kind of
knew Dan
click.
Burn was going to come in and be the guy in that game, right? You knew Dan Burn was going to step up. I mean,
Exactly. I
came
had that,
in, he did his job.
that 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 was a free spot on my bingo card.
I mean, that when it came to that, it was like Tuchel was the mad scientist, like calling in, Dan Burn is like, okay, it's your moment. And he was putting his face where most people wouldn't put their shin. So he made a lot of good plays. So
Just
it
a
was pretty
just
amazing.
a overall a player that he's just, is the swap of Harry Maguire and Dan Burn, it's basically kind of the same thing at the end of the day, right? It's like big tall guy that you can throw in
Yeah.
to get
Didn't
his
need a
head
head
on something.
battered goal. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was phenomenal. I mean, again, I think that's one thing that, especially now with these breaks, I'll be interested to hear afterwards a little more about this. Is that, and I was going to say this earlier when we were talking about the U.S. Like when you have these hydration breaks, right? The coaches really now all of a sudden have an opportunity to coach up their teams again, right? And reset them and change something based on most up until now that's never been the case. So to me, like Tuchel, he's clearly the best coach manager in the tournament, probably even before like now it's been narrowed down. He's got the best pedigree. So how much of an advantage is that? Because I think kept thinking like this Poch coach him up a little bit at these hydration breaks, and they never really flipped the script. So I think the hydration breaks, certainly help when you have a coach like Tuchel, who's really, I mean, he's very active. He's coaching, so it'd be interesting to hear about people's reactions to that, like how because it's an unknown thing. People haven't done this before, so how much of an impact that's having.
Yeah. And not only how much is it, it really is a incredible impact because you really get to, like, the players get to take a breather. They get to just bring up the drawing board very, very quickly and say, hey, all I needed you to do is just both of you guys pinch in, or maybe you go wide, or I want you to stay
Yeah,
on him. This is why. Here's the reasoning why. It's because he's doing XYZ and it's affecting this. And it's like, boom, then it's like you just plugged a hole basically, which you would have had 20 minutes to have to 20 to 25 minutes to have to wait to do
yeah,
that before.
yeah, yeah. I think that's a real big difference, and so the better coaches, better teams will take advantage of that. Change strategies, make adjustments that they ordinarily wouldn't be able to make. You just have to play through that. So it changes a lot, I think.
Do you think these
Some of the
teams, I think this is a naive question, but I was going to say, like, do you think that they have guys in the like, how whenever you in football, you call down, they basically call down the plays, right? They say, hey, this is where someone's looking and call it down. Do you think they're doing that too? They got people in press boxes and then,
100%. I think there's people. Yeah, yeah. I think 100%. I got to think that with all the data, with all the that they're looking at, that they're looking at the best way that they can break down a defense based on what their people are share images and things that they're sharing with them and whatnot. I think that there has to be being fed. I mean, they're staring at their iPads more than they're watching a game now. So I think they're looking for those little breaks. I mean, it's more. I mean, it's all more about set plays than it's ever been, right? So from the meat walls on out, to the to now taking it to another layer of putting certain people on the field at a certain spot, certain spots to expose a weakness a team has. I think it's much more program than we want to think sometimes.
We do love a good meat wall, don't we? Just get everyone in the box and
I
just
mean,
throw it
well,
at
I mean,
throw it at it.
it's what and then how shocking was it to watch like a team like Brazil become reliant on those kinds of tactics, right? Where they were Norway dominated possession, were far more creative. I mean, and Brazil just sat back and did nothing creative, and they were left to just try and throw balls into the box and hope people could Casemiro could put a head on it or something like that. So it's shocking like that, teams that have been that creative are not, they can't be anymore because probably the data shows it's too risky.
It could be.
But the
Oh, we're getting point oh one more XG out of these throw-ins than we are from Vinny dribbling, taking
Yeah,
85, taking one full carb bagel to run down the wing and put a
yeah,
cross in. We gotta give him a gel every time he does that, whereas we could just
yeah. We
get a
can't expose
corner.
them that long. Yeah, it's. I mean, crazy like that. I mean, coach like Carlo Ancelotti probably, man, took a big bet thinking that's how they could win that game. I mean, watching Norway and like dominate the ball in that game was shocking. Like, what is going on here? Brazil just sitting back, waiting the counter, and
When you look
they
at their
weren't.
midfield too, you look at that Brazilian midfield, and you're thinking these are some of the top. You got Bruno Guimaraes, you've got Casemiro, and you've
Yeah,
got Mateus Cunha, I think, playing at the top of that.
yeah,
And you're thinking, I mean, these are $100 million
yeah,
players in today's market, like these guys,
yeah,
or maybe not Casemiro, but you get the point. Like these guys, they're big time, and it's
yeah,
like they're not even going after it. It was weird.
yeah. They were stifled in the mid, trying to get the ball, which was just shocking. And credit to Norway, just had a great game plan, have a great team, and have probably the most dominant player um, out there at any given moment. You know, It's-
Yeah, I was actually. This is actually really cool, and when you're seeing a lot of people being like, "Who's this guy Holland?" and he's basically like a freak. He's just ridiculous. And I'm like, yeah, he is. And I've been telling people, I was like, go back and watch his first like year at I think it was
Dortmund.
either at Leipzig slash Dortmund, right? He was like he
Yeah,
went to both, or he was at both, and I'm like he was doing this, but nobody knew he could do this. And
yeah,
so he was doing it, and people were like,
yeah, yeah,
astounded,
yeah.
They were like, what is going on? Like, what is this guy doing? It's kind of like Mbappe when Mbappe broke onto the scene in
Hmm.
2018,
Yeah.
when people were like, this guy's crazy fast. He's just blowing by everyone. It's crazy. And then it's like, yeah, like, need to
One thing
figure it
that's been
out.
great about the World Cup is I think these players being freed from their clubs, the restraints that their clubs put on them, and their systems has been really fun. Like I think there's been a lot of creativity by the top players here to really that they would not ordinarily be doing with their clubs. And that's just not only on the field, but just like the happiness, I think, even off it, like during interviews and how, the thing levels that they're showing there. I mean, Messi bouncing twice today, pumping his fist was like off the charts, the tears and all that. So Yeah, it's been, I think from that standpoint, it's been amazing. I mean, the players that just seem to be having an enjoying playing for their countries and with a lot more freedom in some cases.
Oh yeah. It's funny you say that too. I was thinking about that while I was watching that Norway game. I was thinking about Martin Odegaard in the midfield,
Yeah, he looks a totally different player.
Arsenal captain, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, does he feel like I'm sure it's not whatever he's doing there is not he's obviously got probably even a lot more freedom because their system is a lot more free um with what he's doing at the World Cup, but I'm like it's got to be muscle memory though at the same time that he's like I'm gonna stay on I usually stay on this side because I'm working with Saka and it's got to be a little bit different. It's positioning. I'm sure it's like he's like I'm used to just being in this little pocket right here, and it's like no, you need to be in other places. I expect you to be in other places, so I'm sure
Mhm.
it's a little different.
Yeah. And I gotta think I know, it's gotta be fun in some degree, right? Like he's just banging the drum at the end of the game and they're all rowing and he's just like has a big smile on his face. What a year he's having. I mean, my gosh, talk about like being having it going for a year. He is certainly he's living he's living it up. Good for him.
Oh yeah,
He's a great player.
oh yeah, 100%. And he also yeah won the Prem. Now he's doing in Norway was one of those countries that I think they struggled to even get in the World Cup.
No,
I think
no,
it was
no. See, this is the thing. They dominated their qualifying to get into the tournament. They destroyed Italy. They
oh
destroyed
okay.
their whole group. So, I mean, they beat Italy like by 3 or 5 goals, 2 games each. I mean, they just wiped them out. So they probably
Mm,
played better than any club to get into the tournament. They cruised in. So they've
okay.
just been playing up their caliber. So, you know, under the radar or not, but they're legit.
Yeah,
They
maybe I
are a
was
dark
thinking.
horse.
Yeah,
They are a true dark horse.
they are. They are. They actually are. Them in Morocco are like in
Yeah,
Switzerland
yeah.
now. Switzerland's definitely a dark
That's
horse. They're a
Yep.
really good one too. You would not think that Switzerland would be probably this far at this point, and
I
yeah,
was
maybe
just
I must have been
yeah.
I must have been thinking about Norway. I think I must have been thinking about like an old Euros or something like that a couple years back where they like struggled and maybe didn't get
Yeah.
in or something like that. So that was old news what I was thinking about. But go ahead.
No, I think they have performed as well as they have, in the qualifying to get in. They have just delivered throughout. So we'll see what the next match brings for them.
Yeah. So next matches, what are we're looking at? We're looking at Argentina, Switzerland, Norway, England. Haaland has to
Hmm.
play. Talk about Haaland born in the UK, so could have easily played for England if he wanted to,
Yeah.
which is
Uh-huh.
you're kind of looking, and this is another topic. You're looking at like Kane, and you're like after Kane, you're like you had Rooney and Kane at the same time, and before Rooney it
Yeah.
was who was up there, Emil Heskey before that.
Yeah. The interviews with Harry Kane as Bert were outstanding. I mean, that was pretty. I don't know if you saw it like that. That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think France, Morocco. Talk about that's going to be something.
That's a rematch, right? Because they played in the semifinal or quarterfinal of the last World Cup, right?
And I think Morocco, yeah, because Morocco made it to the semifinals of the last World Cup, right? I mean,
They won third at the World Cup, or they lost to someone.
yeah, they made it to the semis. I mean, so they're right there in the mix. So
They they lost the bronze to Croatia in the last World Cup.
okay, yeah. So
So
and then
yeah,
and then Spain and Who's Spain play?
Belgium.
Who's
Good
Belgium?
old
Yeah.
Belgium.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
another European heavyweight match, but Spain looked so clinical the other day. They just, and they're, just played it very cagey and then scored a really great goal by your guy
Yeah.
Merino at the end.
You
Just,
put in that guy, man. He turns. That's what I was
yeah,
texting you. Just like Jimi Hendrix.
yeah.
My dad used to tell me about Jimi Hendrix all the time. He put me on the music,
That
and
was
he
a good
always
reference
said,
there.
if six was
That was a good one.
nine, and that's what he is. He's a six. He is a six,
Yeah.
but he
He
has
looked
turned
like,
into a
when I watched
nine.
it, I'm like, he looked like a pure nine. I'm like, dang, that
He
was
is.
smooth. It was a great goal.
It's weird. It's unheard of. It's odd. It's kind of like, I mean, I'll be honest, like in another dimension, that's what Jude Bellingham is too. Jude Bellingham would be a
Yeah.
fantastic CDM. He would be insane. Very, very good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, but I think it just goes to show. But I think, that just shows Jude Bellingham. I think he's like one of the craziest. Talk about like Erling Haaland having like a crazy athletic profile. Jude has a crazy
Yeah.
athletic profile. He's got to be in the 90 plus percentile in everything that he does.
Yeah.
It's insane.
He's got like that other gear that when he puts it into no one else has that kind of like talent when he's got it going. Like he just
Yeah.
looks dominant out there, like just big, strong, creative, powerful, all the things like, you'd want. He's awesome.
My hot take is I'm over here talking about how England have dried up on they don't have anyone after Harry Kane. My hot take is I think Jude should be made into a nine. Almost like as a
Yeah,
false nine, but he's basically he just if he could learn from Harry Kane, all he needs to do is this: learn how to be an elite finisher, someone who can
hmm,
just like those like that second goal that Harry Kane scored 2 matches ago
yeah,
to win it.
yeah.
That's what an elite ball striker does, right?
It
He
would,
makes a turn and rips the ball and it goes top of the net. That's elite.
yeah.
If you can do that, Jude would be insane.
It would add years to his career if he decided to be a striker versus where he plays now. He would extend his career another few years. Less, certainly less running and all that for sure. So maybe you'll see that.
I think it just makes a lot of sense. It's like he's already getting a lot of goals. He's got the profile to be able to do it. He's fast enough to be able to do it. He kind of looks, I mean, he doesn't look fast, but he's just like, he's leggy and he can run. But to me, I'm like, you got someone that's that creative can also get his, will throw his body on the line at any time and do a little bit
Yeah.
of defensive duties if he needs to. To me, I'm like, it makes a lot. It could make a lot of sense. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see
All right.
if it does in the
So
end.
what do you
But
got? Who? What's your who? What's your final at this point? Or who do you have winning? Let me take final. You gotta throw in case I don't talk to you. Who do you have winning?
okay, I I've I've got a okay. I've got an England France final. That's my final.
Mm,
Okay, and I think England wins it.
wow. Why
So
not?
I think that England beats Norway, and I think they play Argentina, and Argentina would just not have. I think they've just kind of skimped by a little too much, and I think it'll come to catch up. And Infantino won't be making a call down to the box to say give them that penalty, or maybe he's going
Ooh,
right,
yeah. They
and
got
I
to
think
do
that's
it.
what's gonna
Yeah.
happen. What about you?
Yeah. I'll still lean on France winning. I just think they've got the most talent, the most experience too, and them. And I'll say them in Spain. I think that would be the final. I think that's the Although looking at the teams that are left, I think, maybe the only two that I can't
No,
see winning
Spain,
are maybe
Spain, France can't be in
Belgium
the
and
final.
okay,
Spain,
they can't
it's
be
got to
okay.
be because they're gonna meet
Oh,
up.
so
They're gonna
something.
meet up in the semis.
Okay, so then maybe France and England in the final.
You think too?
That'd be cool.
It would be
That'd be
cool.
you know that would be cool. I
That'd be
think any
France's
team
third in a
win
row,
that's left.
though.
Yeah, why not? I mean, I don't know. How do you beat them? I think it's going to take something to beat them. You know,
That'd be
it's the kinds of
crazy.
you know they can
Three finals in a
yeah
row. I mean, that would like. I'm serious. Like that is, and it's
with the
very
same coach.
possible with the same coach. With the
Yeah,
same coach, three. If that happened, three finals in a row,
yeah.
and let's just. I mean, honestly, like I want England to win, but let's just say they win. Like, let's say France wins it. He's won two out of the last three World Cups. He's basically like a. I think Deschamps after this retires and you
Well,
give
he's
it to.
said. I think he's said that he is done
He's
after
going
this
to.
World Cup. Yeah,
Oh, Zizou is going to be in, isn't he? Finally,
that's the rumor, right?
makes sense. He's been waiting
So
for a while. He's been waiting.
yeah.
He might
Well,
need to. Zizou has been waiting for a while here. I'm like, you might need to get back on that chalkboard, buddy. Make sure you know your X's and your O's.
yeah, Zizou's more of a let them roll kind of guy, like he was at Real. Like
That's
I think
right.
he'll just be. So we will
Well,
see.
perfect. Well, I think that's good. I think we can. AG, thanks for coming on today and
Of course.
talking through, getting all your thoughts out.
Oh yeah.
We've been chit chatting over the past couple weeks, and I'm like, oh, we need to get AG back on here. It makes perfect sense. It's right time, right when the media wants us to talk. Basically, they need us to talk. So
This conversation needed to happen.
for everyone, not for us.
Exactly.
Well, cool.
Appreciate it, my
Well,
man.
all right, Footy Podcast. Thank you all for joining in today. We got another episode coming up next week, and thank you again. Goodbye.